So we have a whole lesson on tools and equipment that we use at the farm. However, I have singled this one piece out because I wanted to do a whole lesson just on the paper pot transplanter. The paper pot transplanter is one of the tools that we use the most here at Green Life Farm. I would say it's the biggest time saver when it comes to using a tool. All right, so the paper pot transplanter, the first thing I am going to mention is this is not something that you want to do it yourself. I had another farm come over here, they took all the measurements and they wanted to build their own paper pot transplanter. But guys, girls, listen here, please do not try to build this yourself. This has already been designed, it already works the best if you buy it as is. It's really, when you're putting a budget together, the last I checked, it was $1,200 Canadian. This is not going to break the bank when it comes to your farm budget and setting up the farm. This is a very, very key piece of equipment. You want to buy it already pre-set up. You want to buy it that you know it's going to work when you get it. You're not trying to build, you're not trying to fix things, it just works. So the main components are as follows. If you slowly tilt this over, you can see underneath has a furrow. So when you're pulling this paper pot transplanter, that furrow is making a hole right along the ground. So as you've seen in our video, the paper chain just follows right down through there, goes into the hole, and at the back it has a set of steel that just covers that hole in. Now, one thing I will mention, we have used this for 5+ years now, and we have noticed that you usually need a good broom to follow after and just sweep along the rows, and that just makes sure that the paper pot is fully covered and you're not going to have any issues later with the paper rising out of the ground if there's a hard rain. When it comes to here at Green Life Farm, we grow several different crops in the paper pots, and in the attachment below, I have set up a list of different crops that we do in our paper pot, as well as the spacing. So you don't have to try to guess on that. We will put that in for you. Don't worry about that. Now, what I will say is one of our main crops that we do in here is beets. So beets are a 4-inch spacing. We usually do 3, sometimes even 4 rows per bed. Now, the thing is with that, when you have that many crops in a single row, it could take absolutely hours and hours to transplant that all by hand. If you have in the 72s, you're popping them out, you're putting them in every 4 inches. This thing can plant a bed of beets, 50 foot, 100 foot, doesn't matter what it is, it can plant that out 5-10 minutes. The time saving is absolutely huge. So the biggest thing, so the first year, you will have this thing paid off by the savings in labor. Don't worry about that. It will pay itself off. Now, the first time I used this, it was a mess. As any tool comes, there is a learning curve. There's a certain type of soil that works best, a certain consistency, and you'll learn that very quickly. It's not something that is hard to learn, that takes years. Just a couple times through, you'll figure it out. What you don't want is you don't want a lot of different plants left over, roots in there, because your furrow will snag them. So what we have done in the past, we cropped out a bed of peppers, and then we put in a bed of beets. Now, we started down the row. First thing it did is it kept catching the great big root of the pepper. So all we had to do was go through, pull out that one bit of root clump the whole way down, give it a light rake, put a little compost on, and away you go. It was really, really well to go through after that. Made the furrow nice, planted it nice, and saved us a lot of time. So all you need to remember is when you're prepping your bed to use the paper pot transplanter, make sure you have most of the debris gone. There's certain crops, when you're using 72 trays, yeah, you can transplant into other debris and that will be okay because you're using whether a dibbler or your fingers or whatever else, that's fine. This likes a clean bed, so make sure, have that bed cleaned out and you'll have a much better luck with it. All right, so one thing to remember, if you're going to be using the paper pot transplanter, they do take a specific type of tray. Now, you can check around, use Google, There's lots of different people who sell these trays. They are a very specific tray that will say they're for the paper pot transplanter. You need to calculate before how many different trays you're going to need so that you do not run out, because you cannot just go and buy these at any hardware store. Very specific. Calculate your number. Make sure you know how many trays you're going to use before you start seeding them. So just like that, you put your tray on, you slide the piece of metal down, take the slider down, and your paper pot's ready to go. All you do now is take the chain, put it down the furrow, and you're ready to plant.